So we're just going to talk and yeah, I'll ask the questions and we'll put our answers in. And if any printers join in, that's great. And if they don't, we'll just tell them they missed a fabulous chat about print.
Okay. Where do we chat?
If you look at the top of the screen, there's a next to your phone button, there's a little speech bubble, chat button.
Yes, I found it.
Yeah. So you can chat through there if you want with everybody, or you can just jump in with your answers verbally, however you want to do it. That's great. Yep. Cool. So first question, and I'm probably asking the wrong people. That's me, Stephanie, Trenton's moderating, Santosh is moderating, but they're not really moderating much because there's only 7 of us. So, okay. First question. C, M, Y, or K? Which one's your favorite and why? Nice, interesting question.
I'll start here because
Ryan,
I grew up in print, and when I used to talk to people about CMYK, and they're like, why is it black? I mean, it's B, it's black. It's just it was always a fun argument with people to say no, well, it doesn't have to be a B or whatnot. So yeah, I used to make up funny names. I can't remember what they were now, but yeah, so definitely K for me.
Okay, cool. Deb?
I have to agree. Black is once you go black, you never go back.
I like that. Nevi, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I said M for magenta just because magenta's in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And she's my favorite character.
Oh, she's getting my vote. She's getting my vote.
10 points for Nevi. Woo!
Thank you. Yeah.
I think that's the best answer I've ever heard to that question.
Oh,
hello.
Actually, can I change my mind? I want to change mine to cyan because it's actually like Ryan with a C.
Oh, that's very cool. 5 bonus points for Ryan for being creative.
And I never thought about it until now. I had to be creative. So
now I'm going to take yellow because it's the color of corn.
Oh, there we go. You're all getting very creative here. I love it.
That's damn funny.
Yes. Okay, so my favorite one is magenta, only because it's very close to pink, and I'm a girl, and I have this thing about pink that I don't always like to admit to. So,
well, you just told half the planet, so
I know.
It's out.
And it was recorded.
Secret's out. And it was recorded. Oh, holy cow. Cool. Alrighty. So, what's your earliest memory of something printed that really spoke to you? So, we got some interesting ones in the videos I did earlier. One of the designers I spoke to actually said the first thing he remembers having printed was a calendar that his mother had that had drawings printed around the outside of the calendar, and he really liked that calendar, and he was about 3 years old. So it's very interesting, like when you ask people this question. So Deb, what have you got to contribute?
It's a book too. I don't recall the name of it, but it was this big pop-up book we had in my house, and you'd pull the little tabs and things would move around.
Okay.
Have you ever seen books like that?
Yeah, the pop-up stories. I remember those.
Right,
yeah.
and then you could spin a wheel and something would move. I mean, I was fascinated with it, but it was really oversized. It was this crazy giant book.
Wow, cool. Ryan?
Yeah, look, it's probably again a book. I mean, I think that's the first thing you're exposed to as a child is storybooks, and I personally just remember the Hungry Caterpillar. It was just maybe because my parents used to play with. I think and it was something that was read fairly often, but just very fond memories, and just really looking in depth at all these children's storybooks and whatnot. They just seem to, after having something in front of you that you could really look at in depth, that just, there's a lot of fond memories of all that type of thing. So.
Okay, cool. Nevi?
Mine's exactly the same. I remember getting the Muppets Take Manhattan for a Christmas book. and I thought it was the best thing ever. And then I had this flashback of being on a park bench in the middle of the city in Melbourne with my dad a couple of years later reading a book, and he'd wandered off to have a smoke so he wouldn't be near me. But I didn't notice because I was so wrapped up in reading this book out loud to him that when he came and sat back down, I was like, Dad, where have you been? And, and he said, I was just over there watching, but I'll never forget that. Like, books were such an integral part of my childhood, like many of us clearly. But, yeah, it was that. That was the first touch point with paper.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke with an author yesterday, a writer, who said that her first memory of something printed is also books, but specifically of her father reading at the table with all the children around him and looking up from the book and saying, like, wow, did you know that? And, that's where her love of books and writing came from. So it was very interesting that. My first memory of something printed or there being a thing like print was actually my mother used to work in a carbon paper factory. She was the MD's secretary, and for me it was all about that smell and that heat that came up through the floor from the factory. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a very interesting question that I like the answers. So, our two Australians in the chat, what does VOPP stand for? And have you followed them on Twitter yet?
Yes, and value of paper and print.
Oh, well done. 100 points to Nevi.
I thought you just misspelled VoIP.
Me too, Ryan. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, VOPP is the shorthand for value of paper and print. They're a new player on the block promoting paper and print and the value of it, and the really pushing that message from two sides about the truth about the greenwashing and things like that. So follow them on Twitter and get in touch and get through the movement. It's quite interesting. That's the picture of their web page.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, go for
it. Are they generating their own research, or they're just using two sides of
No.
Australia?
No, they're using a lot of stuff. They use Roy Morgan. They use quite a few other well-established researchers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the reason I know this is because I've been in contact with Kelly a fair bit, and their printed reports coming out very soon. And it's exciting. Part of what we're going to do is take that out to market with our reps and give them some facts and tips from the booklet to share with their customers to kind of get the conversation moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I actually got my book in the mail today.
Already?
Yeah, got mine. Yay! And with the invite sheet and from our side we're pretty much the same as you, Nevi, where I speak to a lot of designers and printers in what I do, and just building up that positivity, like, no, these are the facts that you need to tell people when they tell you that they don't want to print anymore because it's not a viable marketing channel, or whatever the perception is about what it is. Like, here's some facts, here it is. And I'm very excited. I'm sitting here paging through my book and smelling the pages as they whisk past.
It is good. I went to a marketing talk the other night with the lady that heads up a bank here in Melbourne, the marketing, and she was really great, but she did talk a lot about digital media, and that a very big retailer here in Melbourne, one of the biggest that we have, is their sales are dying because they use catalogues. And I thought, I can't believe you just said that. But what I'm going to do is send her the booklet in the mail and just say, what an amazing talk, but here's some great facts that maybe you could start to draw on in your next talk, because clearly her research was from, I didn't get to ask her where it was from, and I'm going to find out. But do you see there's such an inconsistency in the information we all have? So
yes. There's a video that we've shared actually onto our page, and it's been shared through the End Print Day feed as well, of one of the printers that we know, a guy by the name of Bernard. And he's actually talking about one of his clients who a couple of years back was printing 70,000 catalogues in a run, and they scaled that back to 5,000 because they decided they were getting better returns out of internet advertising. And this year, they've actually pushed their catalogues back up again because sales dropped.
Right. Well, sad to hear, but good to hear.
Yeah, and he says, you've got to have a good mix of printed and online material. They've got to work together. And this is what his client has learned now, that you can't just cut back on your catalogs because it all ties together. Were you going to say something, Ryan?
Yeah, no, I'm actually just looking at that website.
Good.
I want to say something.
Yes, Deb, go for it.
Last week I was at Graph Expo, which is the largest trade show for commercial print in North America, and it has everything there. It's a mixture of everything. It's not like just dedicated to one form of printing, and something that I kind of had a little epiphany about while I was there was that print as it is right now is new media. When they say print is traditional media, rarely anybody is printing that way anymore. Yeah. So if you think about it, the internet is over 20 years old, which technically means that that's old media now. Yep. So with inkjet and all the new presses and all the new substrates, it's all new. So I'm kind of like getting a little irky about, people who are still with this print is dead, or, I get, I'm only going to, do catalogs online, and something else also is that I'm kind of on a kick about since the beginning of this year was that everyone is so focused about how to bridge print with digital. Kind of like I feel like there was a panic about it, like, oh, we need to do this or print will die.
We need to integrate them, yes.
Right,
yes.
we need to do this. But really, what we need to do is figure out how to get the digital into print. Because quite frankly, if you think about it, more people on this planet take pictures every single day than have ever taken photographs before. And in 5 years, where are those photographs going to be? Unless they start printing them into books and photo books and other, there's just, that's just one example, but I still think we're thinking about it the wrong way. And a lot of it has to do with the industry trying to market. They're marketing us, telling us that this is the thing to do and this is the way to be. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. I think.
It's a good point, Deb.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good point. Alrighty. Ready to move on, everybody? Cool.
Yep.
So, what's your favorite substrate to print on and why? Who wants to go first? Deb?
I'll go first.
Oh,
I'm going to be. You might think I'm being bored.
Ringer.
Okay.
I'm being boring, and of course I'm going to say paper, but I can never go past a piece of uncoated textured stock. I love it, and there's just something about it. Whenever I see a print sample come in, and there's a textured cover or there's some textured pages on the inside, I really love it. Mainly because of the tactility of it, and I tell you what, the printed wood is pretty exciting too, which is something quite new that we're bringing out as well. It's really cool, and to be printing on something that actually looks like a tree is pretty rad.
Fantastic. I've seen it. I've been watching it and trying. Yeah.
Is that paper, Nevi, or is that just like UV printing onto wood?
Well, it is. It's literally a piece of wood that's been flattened out to be like an oversized A3 piece of paper. So it looks like a paper, and you print it through a HP Indigo press.
Oh my God!
Yes, pretty cool. I can send you some photos of the cards we had done. We triplexed, quadruplexed. We put a lot of papers in between to make it really thick, so it's a business card. You can do it for anything. We've seen it done for brochures, for business cards, catalogs, things like that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. Given you can put it through a HP, it's just going to be exciting.
That sounds amazing.
You're bound to have that in the States.
What?
I'm pretty sure we get this from the States, this product.
Oh, really? Do you have it here?
I'll double check with my digital guy, our digital guru, but I'm almost sure he gets his out of the States, but I'll double check and I'll email you.
Cool, thank you.
No problem.
Amazing. Cool. Alrighty. Ryan, thoughts?
I was trying to be diplomatic and think of a KW Doggett paper that maybe was one of my favourites in the past. I mean,
lucky Ryan, lucky.
But to be honest, it's been such a long time since I've actually. I'm actually a trade printer, so I've actually printed a lot and on a lot of different stocks and whatnot. And they have definitely ranged in quality. But I'd have to say that. Yeah, I'm very similar in terms of the textured types of papers, but probably, I used to feel really good about printing a fine quality letterhead or certificate, and polishing off with some, foil stamping or some embossing or whatnot. And, all the things combined just made you feel like you're holding a piece of quality, you're holding something that was, of real value. And it just didn't feel like paper anymore. You just hold something and, but look, just on that, you actually just reminded me. This is slightly off topic, but quite often when you prepare the paper for the machines, my grandmother would pop in and she'd basically steal all the paper out of the paper bins because it was gold. It was absolute gold to her. She'd make a pad out of absolutely anything, and so to her, any piece of paper that was thrown into the bin, she'd just dive on. So it was, she basically, it was like Christmas every day she came in. It was just fantastic for her. So.
Awesome. And Deb, any thoughts from you?
I mean, this is like asking me what's my favorite ice cream. I can't answer this question.
Is it like Sophie's Choice?
Yeah, this is worse than Sophie's Choice.
Oh no, crazy man. Yeah, I have to say my favorite substrate is actually a nice thick. I like card. I like things that are a little bit thicker than your average piece of paper. I don't like the really thin stuff. For me, it just feels weighty. It has substance, And I do also, like Nevi, I have a preference for the uncoated stuff. I love to feel the paper and the fibers, and yeah, that's my preference for those.
That sounded a little kinky, not for nothing.
Well,
Deborah,
can I add another one into there? I remember my first experience when I was shown Tyvek, and it was presented to me that you can't rip this paper, and I just remember spending all afternoon going, yes, you can, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. But I got excited about this thing, and after we printed a few jobs on it, I got this idea that I could put it through the laser printer and print some stuff onto it, and I just gave it a go, not thinking straight and not realizing that it's really plastic, and here I am putting a piece of plastic through my hot toner laser printer and just melted it.
Oh no!
It infused the Tyvek to the printer. So I then spent the next day, pulling it all off the drum. It was not fun.
Goodness. Crazy stuff. Okay, cool. So Ryan is the person with, I suppose, more printing. Pantone versus CMYK. Tell me all about that.
Well, I think for me, I printing Pantone colours. I used to love mixing colours and seeing a quality sort of result. But for me, CMYK. The part I loved about it was that, especially if you started out printing on say for instance a single colour press, which I started about almost 20 years ago, working with my father, and he used to do a lot of printing for Channel 9 actually, which is a TV station in Australia, and they used to print a lot of fan cards. And one of the things that they used to do is print these photos of themselves and give them to all their fans, and they'd sign them and whatnot. So we'd print their photos basically for them. And the thing was we printed these 4-color cards on a single color machine. And so what would happen is you'd lay down your first lot of I can't remember now, you print your black and then your blue and then your your yellow and magenta and then your yellow. I think I can't even remember now. But it was so exciting because when you get down to your last lot of colours, or your last colour, I should say, and it comes to life. You've only printed these 4 colours, but now you've made up a photo, and it's just you can just keep staring at it for ages. Just the fact that you brought something to life. And whilst you had a lot of Pantone jobs, and you had a lot of things that were quite arty and quite bold and colourful. I used to just get so excited about seeing things evolve. From the fact that you could mix these 4 colours together, tiny little dots, and then you could just get everything. It was just amazing to me. So.
Do you remember any of the Pantone colour numbers off the top of your head?
Pantone colour numbers.
Do you remember any of those colours? Like, do you have one that you could just rattle off? Obviously not.
I could probably say a number, but I probably wouldn't be able to tell you the right colour for it. Like if I said Pantone 300, it's in my mind it's a blue, but it's probably not. It's probably a red or something. But I can't remember anymore. But okay. I also used to get fascinated at the fact that the different colours looked so different on different materials, and it was just fascinating to me as well that in some cases you could actually print a different colour on to match the same colour on a different material. So those things just fascinated me as well.
Cool. Deb, thoughts?
Well, something I learned the hard way is that Pantone colors aren't the same country to country.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
No. You can't. Is it
like the metric system?
Oh, it's worse. Yeah.
No, nothing could be worse than metric and American units. No.
No.
Do we just take our Pantone colors and then divide them by 8 or something, and then get the same thing? Or?
I don't know, but if there's math involved, we're in big trouble over here.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah, I sent red files to Spain and they printed orange, so that was fun. But in general, I would say 10 years ago I would have said Pantone, but now I have to say CMYK because, quite frankly, you can create pretty close to almost every Pantone color at this point. Metallics being an exception, but wide format can print metallics, oddly enough. So you could also cheat by using metallic paper. So I'm going to have to say CMYK.
Okay. Nevi, any thoughts on that?
Can you remind me of the question again? Sorry.
So it's on the screen share. If you go back to the
Pantone.
Is it? It's not on my screen share.
Isn't it? What are you looking at?
Well, I actually ended up dialing into the phone because the download was taking so long.
Okay.
So
sorry.
Yeah.
So you're just on the phone. Okay. So we're discussing the Pantone colors versus CMYK.
Lovely.
Yes. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's tough because I think I'm still going to go Pantone.
Yeah. Any particular reason?
At the moment, it's mainly because when we do use them, because we can control, I guess that's something we can control, and they are a bit more expensive, so it's special. Like, not everybody gets to use them all the time, so it's always interesting to see a Pantone used somewhere. Then again, we had a job the other day that was a Pantone and didn't come out as great as we wanted, so it is still dicey. It's not as trusting as, you don't trust in the process as much as we used to. Or I don't, anyway.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
All depends on the stock.
Yeah, right.
I was just thinking, one of my, not fondest, but the strongest maybe memories of ink is also probably my first experience with reflex blue. And,
my goodness, what a nightmare.
Just I'm like, when will this ink ever dry,
Yep. It doesn't. That's the answer. It doesn't.
Awesome. I love the reaction from everybody.
You guys are funny.
That's cool. Alrighty. So what do you love about print in general and any printed media? Advertising collateral or any kind of printed item. What is it about print that you love the most? So let's start with Deb. Deb?
I think you should start with Nevi before she forgets the question.
Okay, Nevi, let's start with you.
I'm being naughty and multitasking. I apologize. I'm checking the Twitter accounts. What do I love the most? Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be concentrating. I will always love the fact that it only will die when you decide to recycle it. So you can have that printed piece sitting on your, in your lounge room, or you can hand it to a friend. So it's all about sharing, and it's also that kind of me communication, where I can pick it up when I'm ready, and then so I get to choose when I'm going to read that magazine or whether it's a book or whatever. It's not a message that's pushed at me like is often a lot of people still do in marketing. And yeah, just it always is that tactility. It's holding something in your hand and looking at the beautiful images and then reading the words and just really being quite flawed at people's creativity, really, because a lot of the work we get to see, which we're very lucky, is outstanding, and it's just so beautiful. Like, really, anything's possible with a piece of paper. Like, anything's possible in print. And I know it may not be changing the world and solving the water crisis or anything, but, we still like beautiful things, and I think it's really cool.
Awesome. Deb?
Nevi's killing it. I have to go with her. I have to go with what she's saying here. She's killing it.
Oh, Deb.
I'm telling you. I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm like, this is like a master class in the best answers about why rocks I've ever heard in my life. I love that it doesn't die until you recycle it. I think that's amazing. I love that you're totally in control about when you pick it up and when you put it down and, when you want to actually get the message. And I don't know, it was just so relevant. That was an amazing answer.
Yeah. It was almost like poetry.
It was.
Oh, stop it, you guys. Jeez.
Are you blushing yet, Nevi?
I am a little red. I wish you could see my face. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Goodness me.
It's Love on Nevi Day. Woo!
Ryan, I don't think we should go after her anymore.
You did.
Alrighty. And Ryan, do you have any thoughts? What do you love about print and printing?
Yeah, Ryan, what do you love about it?
What do you love?
Well, my answer is not going to be anywhere near as eloquent. But yeah, I think I also love the creativity and seeing, I love great design, and I love seeing just the range of things people come up with when they want to get their idea across. And print covers such a wide a spectrum of getting a message across to somebody else, and just seeing how people are doing that. Just this fascinates me still today. And there's so many avenues. We can't look anywhere without seeing somewhere where someone's put a stamp on something, and just seeing that and saying, wow, that's impressive. Someone's been very clever there. Sometimes they haven't, but there is a lot of just clever people out there, and I'm in a great admiration of a lot of things that I see. So
yeah. One of the designers I spoke to this week, when I asked them this question, they actually said to me that they love the fact that it's 3D without any coding. You can design something for print that like Deb was talking about, the pop-up books, where it's 3D just by nature of the fact that it's real and it's tangible and it's in the world, as opposed to some clever coding that makes you look like something's 3D on a screen, which is actually just flat, And I love that answer. I love the fact it's tangible and it's 3D just by what it is, no special fancy stuff, just a bit of clever design, and there it is. So I love that answer too. I thought that was really good. Awesome. So we're all loving the print. That's fantastic. Okay, so how long have you been in printing or in the related industry that you're in, and what drew you into it? So who wants to go first? Nevi, let's start with you.
Okay. It's 5 years in November, and I came from banking. I came from the banking sector in a private bank, and one day I thought it's time for me to change, and an email popped in my inbox from a friend of mine who knows Catherine Doggett, and said they're looking for someone to replace her while she's on maternity leave. And I said, paper like Xerox paper. I'm thinking, what do those people do? And then I started here, and I never really looked back. It's been the most exciting and best job I've ever had, and who knew I'd love paper so much? It's been really great. And I mean, what an awesome industry. And, coming from another world, like we're very corporate, very like play by the rules, it's really fun. It's really exciting to be part of people that want to push the limits. It's just, I find it a bit frustrating that it's kind of taking so long to pull people out of what seemed to be the heyday in the 80s and 90s for a lot of printers and other people in the industry, and kind of make them go forward. That's not to say there's loads of people that are. There is, but I kind of notice that a bit more being in my job, that it is taking people a long time to embrace a new technology and diversify and do different things. But the ones that are doing it super well, which is, we like to collaborate with those kind of people.
Awesome. Very cool. Deb?
I started in a company that sold radio and television advertising to advertising agencies. So we represented the television and radio stations and cable stations. And then there was that was my first job, and I knew that was not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to have anything to do with it whatsoever, but they had an in-house corporate communications department that did all their marketing, and there was a opening for a job. So I got the job, and I transferred departments, and I became kind of like a traffic person, and just went from there to advertising agencies and worked my way up from traffic to the director of traffic to production to the director of production. And now I, run a website, and I kind of, I guess I'm an industry blogger. I mean, what drew me in? I mean, honestly, it kind of just happened, but being around the creativity in the advertising agencies and being able to be part of it by, being able to suggest the papers and the finishings and the printing method and the, having, I guess, being an ultimate control freak. It was amazing. I mean, I worked on some really amazing projects, and to this day, all that experience helps me in everything that I do.
Cool. I just have to add to that I kind of see you as like the central hub of the print world. Like,
well,
everybody.
You must be, Deb. In America, you must be that.
Well, I'm hubby.
You're hubby.
I'm hubby. But that's because that's what I set out to do. I mean, for 3 years, when people asked me what I did, I would say I was a professional networker. And they were like, what does that mean? And I'd be like, I don't really know, but eventually it will pay off. I'm like, there's this thing called social media, and everyone's getting on it, so I'm just going to do what I need to, I'm just going to get ahead of it, Yeah.
And I just find it amazing that I meet people in the Australian print market through you. That blows me away sometimes.
Yeah,
amazing.
I mean, it's a good place to be because somebody, I mean, oddly enough, someone once gave a webinar and used me as an example, and I had no idea any of this was going on, but then somebody like came across me and they were like, oh my God, I was just in a webinar and they were talking about you. And the guy decided that I was a genius. I mean, this guy, not me saying this, this guy decided I was a genius because through my networking, I actually built a, a perpetual promotion machine of myself, and I don't have to do anything.
Awesome.
Because
I want to
everyone's
come
always
over
like,
for some
oh,
lessons.
do you know Deborah Corn? You know, oh, ask Deborah Corn, or Deborah Corn might know where to help you find a job, or Deborah Corn might know someone who can help you print that project. So everyone kind of promotes me. So now I have the largest print group on LinkedIn because of it. And I mean, Steph, you've been around me for a while. You know, I never promote anything.
No.
I mean, I send out my posts, but that's really it.
Yeah, pretty much. I reckon you're the most valuable person in print. That's my take. Anyway.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, there's probably 1,000 people who would disagree with you, but you know, in my little world, in the printiverse, you know, where you know, I always say like we're the people, we're the users and the end users, and we kind of need these other people to get out of our way, but they're still there. As soon as we get rid of them, as soon as we get rid of all the people that are like, this is the way we do things around here, we're not going to change. As soon as we get rid of all those people, which won't be that much longer, then we take over. Then we'll have some power.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Ryan, tell us your story.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been printing all my life. I mean, I grew up and I started finger painting, yeah, my dad was a printer, so it was something I just was born into, and you know, I remember, you know, just my very first experience going into, well, when I was aware anyway, going into the print factory, and you know, the smell of the fumes of the machines, of the, you know, the alcohol dampening and the ink, and you know, shying my eye away from all the nude posters on the walls. You know, at that time that was you know, quite prevalent. You know, that was like, you know, 25, 30 years ago type of thing. You know, that was what all printers used to have around their factories. You know, driving the pallet trucks around, you know, just you know, scooting around them like skateboards in the factories and whatnot. Yeah, so it's something that it was just always a part of my life. You know, my dad would always be telling us stories, and he'd always be bringing home different things that he'd printed, and I think it was exciting to me as well, because in his first business, he had a customer called Mattel, which was a toy manufacturer.
Yeah.
And so they'd give him samples of toys all the time. So, I mean, how could you not be in love with printing when people give you samples of toys?
Oh, yeah.
So he'd bring home all these toys from Mattel, and it was just awesome. And yeah, so I just associated it with good things. Yeah, when I got older, you know, I had no idea what I really wanted to do. So he's basically just like, you know, sucked me in to go and work for him. And yeah, so I didn't really have a choice, I don't think. But, you know, I loved it. I was able to apply myself. And, you know, as I got more involved in, you know, the whole realm of printing, that was a luxury for me, because he had a company which offered me, you know, every experience of printing, whether it was, you know, the finishing side of things, the actual printing, the design side of things, the pre-press side of things. I got a whole a range, an exposure, I should say, to the whole range of offset printing, and it was just fantastic. So you know, I just seeing something from start to finish, and you know, delivering a result to somebody. It was like printing money. You know, you give something to somebody and they just seem to, you know, light up, because they've, you know, there's so many times I've, you know, had delivered jobs or seen the response of people that had something that they'd designed or that they were looking forward to. It was like giving a present to somebody every time. People just used to get so excited. So yeah, it really it kept drawing me in because it just felt like you could make a difference in some way, to someone's day by
by doing that.
Yeah.
Wow, fantastic, cool. So my story. So we do the software. That's what our company does, and I've only actually been with the company going on 4.5, 5 years. What drew me in? My husband. He's very, very. I refer to him a bit as like a bulldozer. What he gets, what he wants, he usually gets. So he drew me into working with the company, and I have to say, a bit like Nevi, I never really. I've always loved books, printed books over ebooks, always. And I have a whole bookshelf of stuff that we carted over from South Africa that I refused to throw away when we immigrated. And only really connected with a love of print and the tangibility of it once I joined Dolphin Worxs, and started chatting with a lot of printers and actually seeing what goes on to make those books come to life. It was quite interesting. So, yep, that's my story. Next question. So, who knows about Captain Sustainabill? Deb, you're not allowed to
I
answer.
don't. I saw that word on Twitter today, and I thought, I should probably find out about that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Cool. Ryan, do you know what Captain Sustainabill is?
I'm guessing I'm about to.
Yes, you're right. Deb, do you want to take it away and tell them all about Captain Sustainabill?
Well, Captain Sustainabill is a superhero that I had created for the use of teaching people that trees don't need protection, that paper and print is a sustainable industry, kind of what everyone else is doing, but just gave it a kind of a more of approachable to consumer type outreach. A lot of the eco stuff can get really eco boring, really eco fast. So who doesn't like a superhero? So actually he didn't. When we first made him, we just called him Tree Man, and then we just put him out there to get a name, and someone came up with Sustainabill, a bill, because he's a guy, Sustainabill, and then I just called him Captain Sustainabill. And I actually created a little JPEG for people to download on International Print Day and put in your email signature, which basically just says don't worry about, print responsibly, but don't worry about, you have nothing to fear about using paper, just some information about it being sustainable.
Yeah, awesome. I think it's very important on that point that stuff like that has got a very consumer-facing message, because those are the people that need convincing, really.
Yeah, most of the information preaches to the choir, and the choir is really tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, and their voices are probably dying a bit.
I mean, I actually.
And how do you? Sorry.
No, you
go.
How is it going in America, Deb? What's the general? How is it going?
I mean, most of the time you don't really hear people. I mean, when I ask the questions at Print Chat, I mean, it's like all the printers say none of their customers really ever ask them anything about that kind of stuff, ever. A lot of them are debating whether the certifications actually mean anything. It's I mean, it's a tough situation. I mean, there is the other problem though, that there is a systematic machine out there that is demonizing paper. With all the go paperless stuff. So there that is, to me, that's really what the problem is, because there's still the myth, as they say in Two Sides, that if you use paper, you're killing a tree, which couldn't be further from the truth. Quite frankly, the forests are there because they're managed by the paper companies, and that's why they're sustainable. And
That's right.
without the paper companies, they could be parking lots tomorrow. So if you really don't want any trees, then stop using paper. It's kind of this wacky catch-22, you know?
Yeah.
But the other thing is that it's also a fine line because, you know, my personal point of view is that, you know, don't be a hypocrite. You know, don't make it about print versus digital. I mean, every industry has a footprint, whatever that is. I don't think that should really be the conversation. The conversation to me is that, look, use paper or don't use paper, but don't think that if you use it, you're killing you're hurting the environment.
We suffer from that message. I think it came out in the 80s or something here, where it was all about killing a tree, and people still have it at the bottom of their signatures. You know, please consider the environment before printing this email. It's difficult because, you know, look, a lot of educated people in Australia, and I would have to say I was one of them before I came here, still thought that I recycled because I thought it was important, but I did think that using a minimal amount of paper was the best way forward because I had no idea about all this information. So I think it's so great that you're doing things like Captain Sustainabill, and we do have Two Sides, and it's going to be a slow process, but we'll get there one day. At least we're starting.
My goal for 2014, and I've managed to get it right with 2 or 3 people so far. So for me, that's great because 2 or 3 people is all the people that they are emailing to change their footers, to take that message out of their footers.
Oh, good on you.
And every person I get an email from where they have it in their footer, and it gives me, okay, I won't swear, but it gives me the heebie-jeebies because I get emails from printing companies with the thing in their footer, and it drives me nuts. I'm like, hey, you're killing your own damn industry.
Forget about the
people
printing.
That's crazy.
What about press makers?
Yes.
There was a company that was a huge, giant, global press manufacturer who also makes cameras, but I'm not going to say who they were. And they had it in their signature. Yeah. And their head office might be in an Asian company, in an Asian country. And they just would not take it out. And then finally, my LinkedIn group went insane on them.
Yeah.
And they removed it.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, so that's my goal. And every person I get, I say, hey, why don't you replace it with this information, you know, that's more realistic about the truth about paper and sustainability. And, yeah, because that's, I think, where everyone just puts it in by habit, you know. It's always in your emails. It's a habit.
Ridiculous. It was true a long time ago. Just like I don't know. I mean, just like littering. I mean, I don't know if you ever had that in Australia, but like when I was growing up, you just threw garbage out of the car window. You know, like that's just. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just what you did. It wasn't. You know, and then all of a sudden everyone's like, you know, you can't litter anymore. So. Yeah, it's kind of around that same time, like that no nukes time, you know? Yeah. I mean, you don't hear a thing about that anymore, but we're kind of going through that right now with paper.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of fun, though. Don't you love it when you catch someone saying, I often catch people saying, oh, don't print that, like we'll save a tree. So I stand there for about a minute on my soapbox and go, actually, if you would like to know some facts, and then I reel off a few things and they're left a bit, oh, okay. And my friends are like, Nev, come on, Nev, not again. And I'm like, no. This is how we spread the message. Like when you're having a social conversation and someone goes, oh, I heard this lady say this thing and what is this? And look, you never know, right? It's a tipping point at some time. There'll be a tipping point, and thank goodness we're starting. We're starting it at least.
We're starting it.
The kind of the problem about this, though, is that it's being spun because the people that are sending that message in the corporate world are doing it to save money.
Yeah, that's what we hear all the time. We're saving
They
money,
don't
we're
want
cutting
to
back.
print and they don't want to mail. So instead, they basically guilt people into saying, well, you're not driving an electric car and you're still using your air conditioning and your aerosol sprays.
Mm-hmm.
So here's something really simple you can do that helps everybody. Don't use paper. Go switch to an e-bill and save the world.
Yeah, that's right. And it's frightening. But even look, I've got an iPhone and we have an iPad at work. Those nothing about that's biodegradable. I mean, come on. Like, there's nothing about it. Yet nobody would blink an eyelid to go buy the latest phone as soon as it came out. But then there is such a contradiction in the world with that.
Well,
really,
it's more about the fact that the electricity and the servers it takes to run the computers that you're doing e-billing on is really the thing that is having a larger carbon footprint than the paper and the print. But again, it's a really slippery slope that the print industry does not want to go down because paper is delivered in trucks. I mean, you
keep going.
Chemicals, and you don't want to go down that road. I think it's very important that we stay in the right lane on this, which is that you can recycle paper 5 times. Period. End of story. It comes from a tree that grows.
Yeah. What goes around comes around. We're always saying that. What goes around comes around. Well, the stat is huge. Something like the production of, one letter, like printed letter, with the CO2 that's emitted, is something along the lines of 15 emails, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the production of something compared to 15 emails, I mean, come on, like I'll send 80 or 100 in a day. Yeah. So it's like little small facts like that people don't get that's producing CO2, just like you said, Deb. That's, I think, the real breakdown and the disconnect with how people get what impact on the environment really looks like these days.
Yeah, but nobody cares about that because they're still going to use their iPads and their phones and their computers, and they don't want to hear about it. Just like nobody wants to hear that soda's bad for you or, don't drink and don't smoke. Nobody wants to hear that stuff. We don't have anything to guilt them into the other way. I mean, it's a completely guilt trip that we're getting. I mean, why do you think there's little green leaves next to, don't print? Think before you print this email. Like, oh, I can actually do something really easy and be a good person. It's very psychological what they're doing.
Yeah, very true. We often write stuff like you can feel good about using paper and you can feel good about it. But God, we're like a tiny blimp on the radar, really. But hey,
but every person who passes the message is important.
Exactly.
That's right.
So that's why kind of Captain Sustainabill. I mean, I wanted to make this email thing because it's just such a simple thing, and I mean, you never know where your emails end up going, So he just keeps going on and on and on.
Absolutely. We've got 2 more people who've joined in the webinar. So welcome to the webinar if you're watching, and hope you can hear us and see us. So fantastic. I can't see names there. I just see viewers 15 and 16, so that's wonderful. I can't see a name, just that there's 2 extra people. They haven't put their names in. So hopefully they're watching and they can hear us. So, yeah. Oh, there's somebody typing. Maybe. Alrighty, I'm going to move on to the next question, which is... scratch and sniff. Seriously cool or way creepy?
Seriously cool.
Way, seriously cool. Cool. Ryan?
Yeah, that's some pretty cool stuff.
Cool. Deb?
Well, it depends upon what I'm scratching and sniffing.
Awesome. Oh, fantastic stuff. Okay, so we're all agreed it's seriously cool, except Deb, who's...
Well, it depends upon what I'm scratching and sniffing.
There we go. Okay, so next question, which is our second slide. So there's a lot of things you can do, fishings and special effects. I still absolutely love the Sappy book that I got, the standard, with all the finishing techniques and guides, and it's just amazing. So I'm going to ask, what's your favorite special effect out of all the finishing things? Do you have a favorite one? What is it and why? Let's go with Nevi. Nev?
This will be boring again, but I still love a foil. And it's not just like foiling a title on a cover or something like that, but recently we've worked with some designers on a promotion, and what they did was they got the image of a woman, which forms a part of this suite of images we have for a certain brand, and they took it and they manipulated it so we just outlined her face in lines and the highlights, and then we foiled that. So when it got foiled, it actually made the image of the side profile of the woman in like a rose pink foil and a nude coloured stock, and it just looked awesome. Like, it was extraordinary, and people are like, wow, we never thought to do something like that, because a foil is usually a highlight. That's how we tend to see it. So I think that's what's really exciting. You can push stuff like that and really and make it beautiful, make it memorable.
Oh, wonderful. Deborah?
There's a company called Eagle Systems, and they make this cold foil, which is really cool. And also I have to. There's two other ones. Laser cutting. That is just, I just drool over that. And my ultimate favorite, if I can even compose myself when I'm saying it, Skodex. I love the Skodex. I live for the Skodex. It's a coder. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's no way to describe it. It's just something you have to feel. I couldn't do it justice. But look it up, and they will send you samples, and it is the most amazing texture you will ever feel on a piece of paper.
Wow. Okay.
Will they send some to us, Deb, like in Australia? Or do you mean?
I'm sure that they will.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Ryan, what are your thoughts in terms of finishing?
I forget what they call it now, where it's like I used to love like the spot UVs and things where brought out certain parts of print, but I also like the metallic it's like not like a varnish. I'm trying to think what it is, where it's like a metallic flake that can get coated on top of print. It doesn't hide what's printed underneath, but gives it a you see it a lot on magazine front covers and things, for a lot of the pro prints or other magazines. They've done a few different things like that. But I don't know. There's too many to choose from, to be honest. Too many. It's all good. Look, I have to apologise. I've actually got a meeting. It's at 1:00, so I have to scoot off.
So you're gonna
it was lovely to meet you all, and thanks for the chat. And all the best for the rest of your afternoon.
Cheers. Thanks, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
Thanks for joining us. Cheers.
Okay, thanks. Bye for now.
Cool. Thanks. Bye. We're actually at our last question. So,
was so cool.
Any other thoughts on finishing and effects? No?
Start with finishing.
Oh. Don't finish with finishing, yeah. I love letterpress. I don't know if you'd quite call it a finishing technique. I think letterpress printing is just beautiful. It's outstanding.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I actually have a client who bought a very old Heidelberg at an auction a couple of years back.
Wow.
That does letterpress, and he bought it just because it was, on auction, it was a good price, and he has ended up printing wedding invitations for people on this machine and making an absolute killing because
Wow.
they want these beautiful sort of things that look like they're handmade and don't look like stuff that's just run out of a digital machine and and they stick good stock and beautiful wedding invitations and thank you cards and a whole the whole bunch of stationery that goes with it. And she's making a killing.
Right, next business venture.
Yes, there we go. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the webinar. We're going to just finish up with our last slide, which is let's go. We still got half the day left in Australia. We've got the whole day of International Print Day in the USA. So like, share, retweet all day long, and hashtag is IPD14. Let's go get that message out there.
Yay.
So yeah.
Thank you
everybody for joining. Thank you.
And thanks, Steph.
Awesome.
Bye, Deb.
Bye, Deb.
I sent you that email about WoodFX, so check your inbox.
Oh, thank you so much.
No problems.
Alrighty. And
bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Steph.
Bye, Deb.
I'm still tweeting and stuff, so I'm still watching.
Yeah, I'll still be going for the rest of the afternoon. So Yep. We'll keep going. And into the night. Cool. Cheers. Chat with you later. Bye. Yeah, everyone's coming in late there. They're dropping off. Antos's left.